From August 19th to September 27th, 2020, I was there. Well, sort of. The year 2020. What's there to say about it? Curbside pickups, social distancing, wearing masks, and remote learning. There was, the other thing regarding peaceful protests during the summer, but I'm not going near that hornet's nest. The sports ball landscape would be affected greatly by a global pandemic. March Madness canceled. English Premier League looks like I had to wait until July for Liverpool to finish their dominant season and end their 30-year drought as league champions. The NHL canceled the remainder of the regular season. Whatever, the Sharks were crap that year. The NBA, don't care. The Warriors were finished before the entire North American sports world was put on hold. As for Major League Baseball, I don't know. The owners and players were in a tug of war on whether there would be a season or not. After over a month of bickering and empty threats, the league and the players agreed to play a 60-game season. Well, the players wanted a 70-game season, but Commissioner Rob Manfred was granted ultimate power. It was,
"You're playing 60 games and you're going to do it.
Or else."
After another mediocre season of Giants baseball in 2019, the team would hit the reset button. The Giants would hire a new manager after Bruce Bochy and his 2,000-plus career wins rode off into the sunset. Oh, he came back? And he's managing the team he beat for his first title in 2010? Okie dokie! The Orange and Black would hire Gabe Kapler with 2 average seasons as the Phillies skipper under his belt. For the short 2020 season, players had the choice to opt out of playing. Buster Posey would be one of those players for the Giants. For the 60-game season, the schedule would be all about the West Side. The Giants would play against the 9 teams of the Western Division of the American League and the National League. The season would start in late July with the Giants going 4-4 in the first 8 games. Not too shabby. In the first half of August, it would get rough, as I expected it to be when a team begins to form a new identity with a new manager. The Giants would lose 12 of the next 16 games, quickly making this team one of the worst in baseball. This was where I came in. Because the games would go on without any paying fans in the stands, some teams would find ways to make use of those empty seats. Besides covering the seats with tarp or having virtual fans, another way to fill those seats was to have cardboard cutouts. I did a little poking around and was fine with the small cost to be a part of an abnormal season. I paid my money, took a picture of me with my cat, and submitted it to the Giants. It was approved, and beginning with the game on August 19th against the Angels, Dinah and I would be at the right field arcade section for the rest of the season. After splitting a 2-game set with the Angels in Anaheim, the Giants would come home and my cutout would be there. Coincidence or not, the Giants would get hot, extending their winning streak to 7 with a 2-game sweep of the Angels, a 3-game sweep of the Diamondbacks, and beat the Dodgers in the first game of a 3-game home set. The summer of 2020 was an unbearable 3 months. After an arrest that went sideways in Minnesota, the media consumption I experienced was out of a dystopian hellscape. I would be under siege from all the platitudes, virtue signaling, and the overall message from nameless people to join the cause. I resisted them over the summer after they infiltrated the entertainment I consumed to take my mind off the real world. Major League Baseball? The A's were average, and I didn't know what to expect from the Giants, so I showed lukewarm interest in the game. The NHL? I would grin and bear it. The same with soccer. Liverpool was about to finish their dominant season and win their first championship since 1990. The San Jose Earthquakes had a great run, getting to the quarterfinals of the MLS's back tournament that restarted the 2020 season that got halted during the pandemic. The Quakes also made the playoffs and took the West's top seed Sporting Kansas City to penalty shootout in the first round. The NBA, I was already apathetic to what was happening. As mentioned earlier, the Warriors were already out of the playoff picture. Then I decided that I didn't want to be constantly bombarded by social justice dogma while watching a basketball game. I checked out. Then another police shooting happened. This time it was someone in Wisconsin who wouldn't go quietly. The athletes were outraged and decided not to go to work. It pissed me off royally, and I decided to counter. I just laughed at the NBA because they were cutting their nose to spite their faces by not playing. Major League Baseball, games were postponed to be played at a later date. The NHL, the players did the same thing and it rubbed me the wrong way. I would tune out the rest of the quarterfinal round and sent them a warning. The sitting out wrecked any momentum the Giants had for the rest of the season. They didn't go on long losing streaks. In fact, the longest losing streak the Giants had after the sit-out was 3. Not that bad in a 162-game season, but this was different. Sometimes those short losing streaks might as well be long ones in a 60-game sprint. The same went for winning streaks. With the exception of a 5-game winning streak around my birthday, the Giants didn't have a winning streak longer than 3 after the sit-out. In the home stretch of the short season, the Giants had to rearrange their schedule. On September 13th, the Giants had a doubleheader in San Diego because a member of the Giants tested positive for COVID. On top of COVID, social unrest, and a very tense presidential election, the western United States were dealing with a slew of wildfires. I know because I was surrounded by them. Nearly the entire state of California was on fire like I was living in the book of Revelations. While a few fires were started by a bizarre lightning storm in August, the cruise fire that happened in July was near me. Luckily, I didn't live in the rural area, so I wasn't affected. I've had to see the sickly shades of orange, yellow, and red. I've had to smell the acrid, burnt air. In fact, I was an idiot for a night and camped out in the backyard in the middle of the smoke and haze. It was a familiar feeling. But what happened in 2020 turned it up to 11. Anyway, due to a handful of wildfires in Washington state, and the air quality in Seattle was so bad that the 2 games between the Giants and Mariners around my birthday would be moved to Oracle Park, with the Mariners batting in the bottom of the inning for those 2 games, like a visiting cricket team choosing to bowl first after winning the coin toss. After the 5-game winning streak and the venue change of the Giants and M's, there's nothing left. The Giants had a 12-12 record in September, and they would finish tied with the Milwaukee Brewers at 29-31. Riddle me this. How could a team with an identical record with the Milwaukee Brewers miss the playoffs if they've never played each other in that year and had a better winning percentage in 9-inning games? Oh, I see. It was the end to a surreal season, but it went better than I thought. Despite a new manager, the occasional schedule shuffling, and the Giants missing their best player, I could only wonder how they would do with a full 162-game schedule. It was a strange season, but I would have a souvenir to commemorate it always, when I was sort of there for 5 weeks of the 2020 season.